Hello and welcome to the channel, where today we're breaking down what could be the most significant shift in the Ukraine war since the full-scale invasion began nearly 4 years ago. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky just laid out detailed peace concessions in a candid press conference, slimming down demands, offering compromises on territory, security, and even elections, and effectively putting the ball squarely in Vladimir Putin's court as the Trump administration's peace push gains momentum. December 24th, 2025, Kiev. Zelensky sits down with reporters for a wide-ranging, unusually frank session, unveiling a revised 20-point peace plan, down from an original 28 points floated earlier by the U.S. He calls it a foundational document on ending the war, a political document between us, America, Europe, and the Russians. And for the first time, he spells out specifics Ukraine is willing to accept. Concessions on Donetsk territory, a demilitarized, free economic zone around key cities like Kramatorsk and Sloviansk, reciprocal Russian troop pullbacks to create buffer zones, NATO-style security guarantees that mirror Article 5, a massive post-war reconstruction fund, joint U.S.-Ukraine control of the Zaporizhzhia nuclear plant, and an immediate ceasefire once signed, all monitored by a peace council chaired by none other than President Donald Trump. The biggest olive branch? Territory. Russia has demanded full control of Donetsk and Luhansk, including areas Ukraine still holds, like the fortified fortress belt of Kramatorsk and Sloviansk that blocks deeper advances. Zelensky counters with a compromise. Turn those areas into a demilitarized free economic zone. Ukraine pulls back troops a set distance, 5, 10, or 40 kilometers, and Russia must match it, creating a buffer. If Kramatorsk and Sloviansk are in the zone, he says, Russians pull back accordingly. It's not full cession, but it's a major step back from Ukraine's previous, nothing less than 1991 borders line. Security guarantees? Ukraine wants ironclad commitments from the U.S., NATO, and Europe. Military response and reinstated sanctions if Russia attacks again. But Zelensky adds a twist. The guarantees vanish if Ukraine strikes Russia unprovoked. Reconstruction, an $800 billion war loss estimate, funded by a Ukraine Development Fund pouring into tech, AI, data centers, and U.S. investment in gas. Zaporizhzhia, joint U.S.-Ukraine enterprise, 50% power to Kiev, the rest allocated by Washington. Full Russian withdrawal from Dnipropetrovsk, Mykolaiv, Sumy, Kharkiv, and a nationwide referendum to ratify any deal, but only after a real 60-day ceasefire for legitimacy. Zelensky expects Moscow's response today after U.S. engagement. The plan stems from Trump's peace effort, led by envoy Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner, with recent constructive talks in Berlin and Miami briefings for Kremlin envoy Kirill Dmitriev. Putin spokesman Peskov confirms Dmitriev briefed the president. Moscow will formulate next steps soon. But will Putin bite? His end-of-year press conference showed no flexibility. Full Donbass, no NATO, elections to legitimize Kiev. Zelensky's concessions address those. Buffer zones instead of total loss. Guarantees without NATO membership. Referendum as democratic seal. Yet Russia's battlefield gains continue. Why compromise now? The Trump factor looms large. His team's pushing hard, with Witkoff calling talks productive. Zelensky praises the U.S. role, framing the plan as joint. Europe's on board with funding, but risks remain. Sequencing, who withdraws first, verification, frozen assets, and Putin's history of rejecting anything short of capitulation. This could be the opening for real negotiations or another stalled attempt. Ukraine's offering painful compromises to end the killing. The ball is in Moscow's court. Drop your take, genuine breakthrough, or too little too late. Smash like if you want peace updates. Subscribe. 2026 could decide Ukraine's fate. See you soon. Hope for light in the darkness. Slava Ukraini.